So a minister was writing his lesson for the next Sunday, and his young son came in the room and saw him write the lesson like he did every week. And he said, "Dad, where do you get the ideas for your lessons?" And the minister said, "God talks to me and tells me what they are." And the son thinks for a minute and looks at his dad and watches him a little bit longer. And then he says, "Dad, why do you always cross out things then?" Okay, it'll take a little bit. And maybe it's better amongst ministers a joke like that. But I think most people, if you've written... Okay, well, Johnny Carson, where are you when I need you? That's what I'm going to do. All right. Let's say our statements of truth together. I am a child of God. I am deserving of right. I am accepting my good now. Well, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But we as humans today, I'm really excited about today's lesson because it's something that came to me as a divine inspiration during the last couple of weeks, and I want to share it with you. And I want to go over some things, though, that we already know, and it'll be a refresher for some of you, and some of you will remind you of things. But we as humans are made up of two aspects of our beingness, and that is our individuality and our personality. Now, if you've read H. Emily Cady's book, which is a primer for Unity, Lessons in Truth, then you will know all about this. And if you haven't, I suggest that you buy the book. I think we still have some out there. If we don't, we'll get some more. But buy the book and read all about individuality and personality. But I'm going to explain it to you briefly right now. Our individuality is our Christ self, our spirit, and our soul. It is the part of ourself that does not depend on anything in the outer world. That's our individuality. Our individuality is not concerned with humanity's opinion because our individuality is our connection to the divine, or God. In fact, our individuality is the part of us that is perfect in every way and expresses as us at the level that we are living in the awareness of our individuality. Our individuality expresses as perfect health by realizing that the spirit is not susceptible to seemingly body imperfections. Our individuality expresses as perfect wealth by realizing that the truth of being wealthy is not the number in our bank account, but the number of truth ideas in our mind. And our individuality expresses as wisdom by choosing to look for truth in every matter before taking action in life. The other aspect of our beingness is our personality. Our personality is what we sometimes have identified as ourself here on earth, in this part of our life. Our personality is concerned with outer happenings and needs to have approval from outer personalities in order from the family of humanity to feel accepted. Our personality expresses perfect health when the doctor says that we're healthy. Our personality expresses perfect wealth when we have that right number in our bank account. Our personality expresses wisdom when our ideas of truth are accepted by others. Even though all these personality expressions can look similar to the individuality expressions, they are very different. Our personality is hinging on other personalities to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, while our individuality is only hinging on our awareness of our relationship with God to attain health, wealth, and wisdom. Our relationship with God is the only thing that we can actually give, that can actually give us everlasting health, wealth, and wisdom. Think for a moment how we heal as far as a body, as far as our human body. Think for a moment how we heal. If we have an outer ailment like a cut or something that's bad enough to go to a doctor, what do? We go to a doctor and what happens? The doctor gives us some some maybe antibiotics, probably antibiotics, and plus something else to heal. But where does the healing actually come from? Does it come from that? Yes, what? I didn't hear you. Yeah, it comes from, boy, you guys already had this lesson. Let's stop right here. You're right. No, it didn't come from that medical professional, although that medicine might have helped you because it was a divine idea. It might have helped your body, jumpstart it to heal, but the healing came from within you. Our body realizes that it needs help somewhere, and it perks up with or without that medicine to heal that part of the body. Have you ever been short on funds to pay something that really needed to be paid? I'm not talking about you needed money to go buy lottery tickets. I'm talking about the electric bill, okay? Mm-hmm. Something that really needed to be paid. I don't know if you've ever been short on funds at that moment, but I have been. And I could also make a pretty strong prediction that if you ever centered yourself, just stopped and quit worrying about it for a second, and centered yourself and prayed about the situation, that somehow, some way, that money showed up. And I'm not talking about going and asking somebody for the money or going and borrowing it from a bank. I'm saying just stopping and centering yourself. I mean, ministry is infamous for this, and that's one thing. Going into ministry, I've been with ministers all my life, and they had proven this to themselves. But going into ministry, for my own personal self, my own personal experience was, I was a businessman, and it wasn't that way for me. As far as I know, it's going to come to me. I mean, it was in a way, but it really wasn't in another way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in business, it's numbers. So I was looking at numbers. I owe you an electric bill. I'm going to get you the electric bill. I'm going to sell something else, whatever I have to do to get the electric bill for you. I'm not going to hold out and wait and hope for something that's going to come. Although I did know it was going to come, but I was going on the outer instead of from the inner. And there's a big difference. So center yourself on the truth and it will show up no matter what we're talking. Well, what about wisdom? Have you ever had a choice to make in life and made that decision and afterwards felt like something either was wrong in the pit of your stomach or somewhere, something just didn't feel right about the choice you made? Well, that's the divine idea of wisdom coming and telling you something that we need to pay attention to. One way wisdom shows up is no matter what age we are in life, is having that feeling in the pit of our stomach. Just the other day, I told some of you this, but not that many. I think it was last Friday. Yeah, last Friday, we have a water well for our house, and that's how we get our water. Well, the pump went out. Well, that thing's 360 feet down the ground, and so not too many of us can go out there and just pull it out and replace it. So we had to get this guy I called the guy that used to own the house that I trust a lot, and he told me a place to go and have the water well pulled out. Well, you have to have this truck or this winch that goes up, because those pipes are 20 feet long, it goes up 30 feet, and then you unhook it and all that stuff. You've seen the oil well probably, movies that do that stuff. Same thing, except it's for water. Well, afterwards, I knew it was going to cost a little bit, but I didn't know it was going to cost that much. So, I'm sitting there thinking at the first of it, before he came out on a Sunday, and talked to me a little bit, told me it was going to be at least $3,600. And so, when you're at that water, it kind of makes you, we need water. You have to have water. So I was kind of panicking, and I thought, I don't have that much money right now, but I can figure it out how to, somehow down the road. We can either work something out or we can't. And so anyway, he ended up doing it. It ended up being $4,200. But what was the deal about it is, I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach. Maybe I should do something else. Well, I called somebody else because he was going to come out Monday and do it. I called somebody else, and they said online it was one of those home advisor. I don't know if you ever use this like Angie's List and stuff. But anyway, there's a router place, not Roto-Rooter, but it's a router place. And so you have your ideas about that and your thoughts about that. So I went and called them, or went online, and they had a schedule of when their appointments were ready. Well, they couldn't get to me till Tuesday. We're without water, remember, we're without water. And so I'm even getting dry in my mouth thinking I'm without water. So I decide, I got to go with this other guy I've got, even though he's going to charge me at least $3,600, I got to get it done. So I went with him, but not too long after that, before the guy got there, the router place called me and said, well, you went online and did all this. And I said, yes, I did. But your schedule said you can't even get to it till tomorrow. And she said, oh, no, we can get to it today. She's really friendly and, really offered to come out to help. But again, I was a little bit in panic mode. So I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and go with who I've got. Well, probably wasn't the best decision. I don't know. I never will know. But, that's what I did. So sometimes we need to just stop, or most of the time we just need to stop and listen to what's going on around us. So even though we can seemingly get the same results when we use our personality or our individuality, the long-lasting effects are different with each. And the melding of the two, believe it or not, in this part of our life is the ideal way to grow both spiritually and in life. In fact, one cannot be fully expressed without the other. Our individuality cannot be expressed and benefit the world as intended unless we have a personality to express it. Right? I mean, we can't just live within ourselves and not ever do anything in the world. We have to have, our personality has to do something. It's our fifth principle in our 5 basic principles in unity. It's not only enough to know this stuff, you have to get out and do it. So the personality, though, cannot express fully without the individuality guiding it. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, when the jackpot got up to $1.5 billion, or whatever it was, some really crazy figure, that, believe me, I did have to check our list of who we have on the rolls, see if anybody wanted. I called some people that we have in Florida. And I know some people in Tennessee, but I didn't know anybody in California, so I didn't have to call there. Anyway, I just wanted 10%, tithe is all I was looking for. But anyway. So where was I? I was telling the story. Oh, how big that gets. I want to tell you a couple of stories on that real quick. Is that while that was getting big, I don't know if you saw on the internet, but how many people have won the lottery and been worse off in 5 years than before they won it? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they were owing a lot more by the time those 5 years were done than a lot more than they won. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy. Your consciousness has to be ready and willing to accept that much money. The other thing I wanted to say on that was, if I can remember, is that the lottery, this isn't what I was going to say, but I'm going to say it now. The Georgia lottery has this good game. It's called All or Nothing. Have you seen it? It's a scratch game. Or no, it's not a scratch game. It's like Keno. You pick some numbers. I think you pick 5 or 6 numbers, and then they draw out of 50 or whatever, and they draw. And if you don't get any of them, you get the prize. Which would be good for me, because I don't get any of them whenever I play lottery. Or you get all of them, you get the prize. But, they have figured out mathematically that you're going to drop within that area, so you're not going to get nothing. But the name is so great, because I think they should change all of the lottery advertising to this. You give me all your money and I'll give you nothing. That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty more accurate, wouldn't it? I'm not against the lottery because I want somebody to win it in our congregation.
I know that's right.
But the choices that we make in life are important, and the 2 aspects of individuality and personality are important for us to know. These 2 aspects can help us in making good choices in life. The choices that we make in life will define us in expressing our soul, which brings me to something that I'm really excited about to share with you today, and that's our spirit and our soul. And I really wish Jackie were here, because I think that a lot of other denominations do this. I know that there's many that do it. But each of us have heard the 2 words, spirit and soul, quite often in our own spiritual journey, I'm sure. Yet, if you're like me, then there was a bit of confusion about wondering whether they're the same thing, because many people use spirit and soul interchangeably, just like they use Jesus and Christ. And we all in here know that Jesus and Christ are not the same thing. Jesus was the man, and the Christ was something that he learned about himself and shared with everyone else, just like you have the Christ within you. But they're two different things, and we need to be separate. We need to understand what the difference is. You heard me earlier say spirit and soul was the same as God. And so they are kind of interchangeable, just like Jesus and Christ are kind of interchangeable, but there's a difference. And I had this revelation the last 2 weeks, and it was great for me because it cleared it up for me, and I want to share it with you. So let's begin, though, by reading what Charles Fillmore said about the two. On spirit, he says, God as the moving force in the universe. Principle is the breath of life in all creation. The principle of life. Creative intelligence and life. And that's from the Revealing Word. And again, another book that if you don't have, you really need to have is the Revealing Word. It's not a book that you read, sort of. It's a definition book, so it gives you definitions of words. And I know we have those out there. Even though there's much more to this definition in the Revealing Word, I think that we all, if we just stopped for a minute, took this to prayer and meditation, then we would come out thinking, yeah, that's a pretty good definition of the word spirit and how it works in my life. Spirit is like the poem that Dr. Barber wrote, and actually we sang this morning because Jazz put music to it and made it the song into the song that we sing frequently, performed by Bill this morning and the rest of y'all. Spirit is never-ending energy that continually creates. And spirit's more than that. Spirit is God in all the omni-cubed fashion there is. Omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience. And spirit is more than that. The word spirit is synonymous with God, and therefore will always be more than the words that we use to describe it. And spirit is more than that. As we move to Fillmore's definition of soul, let us remember that many times we can use the secular idea of the Holy Spirit for soul. In most instances. There are some that you can't. Fillmore defines soul, though, as this. Man's consciousness, the underlying idea back any expression. In man, the soul is the many accumulated ideas back of his present expression. In its original and true sense, the idea of the soul of man, is the expressed idea of man in divine mind. He continues with this. Man is spirit, soul, and body. Spirit is the I am, the individuality. The body is soul expression, and soul includes the conscious and subconscious minds. Soul makes the body. The body is the outer expression of the soul. And bodily health is in exact correspondence to the health of the soul. I know that's a lot. And as everyone knows here, if you've been here before, I do not disagree with Charles Fillmore very often. And yet, I'm not going to here either. Yet, I think that there's something that needs to be added to get a clearer definition of, for a better understanding of what he's saying about our soul. First off, our soul is spirit. Within each one of us, it is our individuality. Soul and spirit are kind of synonymous. I'm going to tell you the difference here in a minute. This is pretty big for me, so I want you to hear it. Soul and spirit are kind of synonymous. That's why they kind of use it. And that's the same with Jesus and Christ. You know, that's how I think over the years, over the generations, that people have got confused. Well, no, there's no difference between Jesus and Christ. Yeah, there is a difference. There's a big difference. Huge difference. And you need to understand that for spiritual growth. And this may be clear in his definition to some of you what he's saying about the fact that spirit, therefore our soul, is already perfect and fully developed in every way. Would you say God is fully developed and perfect in every way?
Yes.
Our spirit is God. Our soul is a part of that spirit. It's the same thing as our spirit. So our soul, can you see? It's
Perfect.
very easy to see. Our soul is perfect in every way. Well, your soul's inside of you, isn't it? Your soul, each one of us have a soul, don't we?
Yes.
Well, it's already perfect and developed in every way. Spirit cannot be improved upon because it is already perfect in every way. When I learn something new about Spirit, this is talking about me personally, when I learn about something new about Spirit, it does not make Spirit grow. It allows me to grow. And as I grow in my understanding, I grow in my expression of that Spirit. Every living thing has a soul. And humans, as the only sentient being on earth, can expand our soul as we open more to our oneness with God. Think about the deer, the dog or cat, whatever you have at home, any animal that you want to name. How do they live life? They don't worry about the next meal, where it's going to come from. They just know it's going to show up, and when it does, and when they're hungry, they eat, don't they? Now, I know we've had, at least I've had animals, dogs in my case, that some of them will eat as much food as you put down. And some of them will eat only when they're hungry. But they don't worry about it. They know it's going to show up. They don't worry about where they're going to sleep at night. They just rest when they are tired. They don't stay in one place all the time and become stagnant. They get up and live life. The soul in the animal is expressing perfectly as its understanding of Spirit is. And that was placed there by creation. So they already know what to do, and they're doing it. We as humans are the only ones that question our soul's intent. We question it. Just like when I got the feeling in the pit of my stomach and to say, check out something new. Find out if there's a better way to do this. And I didn't listen. I questioned it. I wish I wouldn't have. But I did. In our lives, we are expressing how much Spirit we allow in our life through our soul. Our soul expands to the extent of how much Spirit we allow to expand within us. And this is how we can say that, have you ever had deja vu or something? Some people believe in, and it's okay, it doesn't make a difference to me what you do or not, but as far as belief, some people believe in reincarnation and they've been here before or something like that. Well, do you see how the soul has its ever-expanding, new understanding of Spirit can give you those thoughts and those ideas? In truth, we've all been here before. Whether that's reincarnation or not, we can have a discussion. But in truth, we've all been here before if we understand oneness. If I'm one with you, then guess what? I'm one with somebody else in history. Does that mean that I know everything they know? Maybe not everything because I'm not open to it, but I have been there. We put Gandhi and MLK's got a birthday in 2 days, Jesus and others on a pedestal because they have expanded their soul to let more Spirit express. Yet each one of them did not talk about how much better they were than everyone else. They spoke about how to expand our soul and how that would look like in life in their own unique way. Wouldn't that be cool to just figure that out and go forward with that? Spirit at the present time cannot be fully expressed in man because man's personality has put limitations on that expression. This goes back to the idea of regeneration by Fillmore. Many people still laugh when you talk about regeneration. Oh, the body's going to live forever if you understand Spirit. But if you did understand Spirit, then how come when we grow from a kid, from a baby, which we had your grandbaby Jerry earlier up there, when we grow from a baby, we are growing bigger, we are growing stronger, everything's working great for us. And then at some point, we seem to go back to lesser and slower, and what's up with that? Are we in the same body? Well, I think so. It's bigger now. Well, we're in the same body. What happened? Well, you can get a medical definition and hear all the mumbo-jumbo about technicalities about what happened. But the truth is that we started doubting again, more than we're not doubting, our spirit expression. That's what happened. And that's why each one of us in here, as far as a physical body, isn't a 20-year-old or whatever running around with all that energy. But we can be. And that's off the subject. But that's a little added, no extra fee for today on that one. Our personality, though, has limited our expansion of our soul only because we say it has. It's just like money. I told you this before. If you pull out a dollar bill or whatever, if I had one, I'd pull one out right now. I got one in the office. If you pull out a dollar bill or a $10 bill, what's the difference between the two? The paper's the same. They have different images on them, but the paper's the same. It costs the same amount to print it. What's the difference between the two? The difference is you say it's worth $10, the $10 bill, and I say it's worth $10, the $10 bill. That's the only thing, is we both agree on it. That's the only thing that makes that piece of paper worth $10. Otherwise, I could give you this and say it's worth $100. And it is. It's worth more than that, actually, with what's written on it. But we limit ourselves by our personality by saying that we can't do something. It is just a misunderstanding of what we need from each other. And what we need from each other is the same on our personality level as it is on our individuality level. We need to realize our oneness. And our oneness does not come from an outer expression coming into us. Our oneness is an understanding from within that expresses out. If we want an outer world to look like what we dream of, then we have to get clear of the thoughts that we are thinking and where those thoughts are coming from.
Okay.
Are the thoughts we have of our outer world coming from an expanded soul that allows more of the perfection that I am as spirit show up in the world? Or are the thoughts that we have for our outer world coming from a perception of what the world is now and how to change it? Do you see the difference? It's a big difference. And I know it takes some time to think about what did he just say? How come it's inside out and all that stuff? But it's a big difference. Are we coming from the I am, the Christ within ourselves, and seeing the world as we want it? Or are we seeing the world out here and trying to change it into some idea that we have? Big difference. If we're going to be doing something, usually we're going to be doing something out here either way. But what we do out here, what we're basing that idea from, is important. If we base it on the I am, then what we're going to do is see the world, see the truth as it is, and say, I behold the Christ in you. I see you perfect and whole, no matter what the situation is. If we look at it from the personality level, then we look at somebody, whatever, Iran, Iraq, whatever we're talking about. Oh, it's terrible over there. They've been fighting for generations. They're never going to stop fighting. Well, of course they're not going to stop fighting. We all think they're going to keep fighting. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Nobody's going to stop fighting if we say that's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
They lost hope. Nah, can't do that. Can't deal with that. Too big of a problem for me. When it's not a problem for any of us. We all are the Christ. We have the I am within us. I think each of us would like to live in a world more full of spirit and the expression of that spirit, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, all we need to do is recognize that the ability to live from spirit already resides within us as our soul. And our soul is ready, willing, and able to expand within each one of us into the true expression of God that you already are.
Yes.
Our perfection is already there. All we have to do is become aware of it. You may go out and say, oh man, I made a mistake here. I'm not perfect. That's not true. That's not true. You may have made a mistake there, but your perfection, you're just becoming more aware of your perfection and how to do it. How many people have done a project? I know I have, especially lately, doing a lot of stuff at home. Cool. Have done a lot of stuff at home. How many people have done a project and that you've never done before, or even if you've done it before and made a mistake? Home thing, yeah. Well, didn't you just learn from that mistake and just go and change it and do the right thing?
Yes.
What's the difference between that and anything else we do in life? We have to be open to the perfection within us. God wants this for each of us. Yet like our offerings, like our donations here at church, everything is on a free will basis. God gave us the opportunity to expand our soul if we want to. And He gave us the opportunity to expand our soul to the extent that we want to expand it too. I know everybody in here today, right now, wants to expand your soul, don't you? Yes. You want to know more of that truth that you are, the Spirit that is within you. Are you willing to accept God, the good that God has for you, though, right now?
Yes.
If you are, you didn't sound convincing.
Yes.
If you are ready and willing to accept the good that God has for you, then all we have to say is yes!
Yes.
If you are that way, then let God know by going within a few more times this week. Allow yourself the gift of the blessing that God already has for you by seeing all those people around you as the Christ and seeing yourself as the Christ and understanding that all we are doing is allowing our soul to expand. There are no limitations on you and the blessings that are coming to you right now because God is blessing you right here and now. God bless you today.